First off, I would like to thank Wood Avenue for giving me this opportunity to speak. Now, back in 2020, when the coronavirus had practically shut down America and the whole sports world stopped, the National Basketball Association, or NBA if you will, decided to play basketball. But the thing is, fans were not allowed to come. Well, everyone was excited for sports to be played again, so lots of people watched the games. When I watched the games, something stood out to me. Most of the players would not stand for the national anthem, except Jonathan Isaac, who was a very good basketball player for the Orlando Magic at the time. In the 2023 and 2024 season, he was named on the NBA All-Defensive Second Team. When asked by a reporter why he would not kneel, he said he didn't feel kneeling for the national anthem aligned with his belief. That would take lots of courage to do in front of everyone watching. Now, with that being said, the lesson what I'll be talking about today is courage. Will you flip your Bibles over to Daniel 6? That is where we'll spend a lot of time in the lesson today. In Daniel 6, 5 through 9, it says, "Then these men said, 'We shall not find any ground for complaint against this Daniel unless we find it in connection with the law of his God.' Then these high officials and satraps came by agreement to the king and said to him, 'O King Darius, live forever.' All the high officials of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps, the counselors and the governors are agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an injunction that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish this injunction and sign the document so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore, King Darius signed the document and injunction." As you see there, the high officials and satraps were jealous of Daniel and knew they could not find a complaint against him. So they decided to make a rule to make him either remove God or potentially lose his life. Well, if you keep reading with me in verses 10 through 13, it says, "When Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open toward Jerusalem. He got down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he had done previously. Then these men came by agreement and found Daniel making petition and plea before his God. Then they came near and said before the king concerning the injunction, 'O king, did you not sign an injunction that anyone who makes a petition to any god or man within 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions?' The king answered and said, 'The thing stands fast, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked.' Then they answered and said before the king, 'Daniel, who's one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, O king, or the injunction you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day.' The people catch Daniel praying, and they tell the king. After the king is in distress, they convince the king to put Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel was courageous and chose God over man, which is very admirable. And God took care of him, as he didn't get eaten by the lions. Instead, those who convinced the king to make the rules got thrown into the lion's den and eaten." Next, I would like to talk about David. He was a shepherd boy who didn't go off to fight wars. But in 1 Samuel 17, it talks about how David told King Saul he would fight Goliath the giant, and because of his courageousness and faith in God, he struck down Goliath and killed him in verses 48 through 50. It shows this happening, if you will read with me there. "When the Philistines arose and came and drew near to meet David, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone and slung it and struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the ground. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. There was no sword in the hand of David." Now, to tie these stories all together, it shows that having faith and courage in God can be difficult at times, but if we choose not to follow the crowd, we may influence others to change with us. As it says in Joshua 1:9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." An example of changing others is when we went to Costa Rica on a mission trip. Sure, it was tough at first to talk to people about God, but everyone there had courage to spread his word, and now, through God, we got to change their lives. Now, if you feel like you've been following the crowd and it has been leading you in the wrong direction, or whatever your need might be, have courage. We would love to help you. Come now as we stand and as we sing.